Despite my appearance today of a blouse and a headscarf and earrings, you'd probably never guess that I grew up with mucking boots and constant dirt underneath my fingernails. For those who are familiar with Utah County, I live about 10 minutes west of Spanish Fork. As soon as you start hearing cows moo and the smell of manure, which we call the smell of money, you will recognize that you're in Palmyra, Utah. I grew up on a little urban farm. My name's Sadie Simpson and I was the oldest of 4 girls. My parents were amazing and they taught us staunch values in the work ethic and how to persevere as little kids. Being an expecting mother myself and now living in a neighborhood, I've been able to talk to a lot of my dear girlfriends as well as colleagues and people who are in my congregation. And I'm beginning to realize that the art of teaching kids to work is beginning to waver. This is so important. Teaching kids to work builds self-confidence as well as a sense of accomplishment and teaches them really to persevere later whenever they're really struggling. Teaching your children the value now will set them up for success later in life. With so much modernization and progression happening today in our world, it's really, really hard not to want to gratify your children right there when they want things right when they want it. I feel like I've seen that happen over time and time again. In fact, Dave Ramsey, who was very famous for his financial advice and is a successful businessman, said, "Our culture has many wonderful advances to ensure the safety and well-being of our children. However, we may have taken this too far. Many parents today are so centered on what their children want that they have lost perspective on what their children need." So growing up when I was 7 years old, I absolutely was obsessed with Beanie Babies. I was given my first one by a dear friend, and after that I was hooked. And this was back before they had the big glittery eyes. And so we would pass the Hallmark store and I would look into the window to see what the latest and greatest Beanie Baby was and beg my dad to please buy me it. Well, shockingly enough, his answer was, "Sadie, if you want it bad enough, you'll work for it." And so I did. I went straight home and I got out my bingo daubers and I made a foot massage menu because I knew my dad was a huge advocate of foot massages. And I put a big price of $3 for a 30-minute foot massage and $5 to give them a financial break for an hour foot massage. My dad would pay me in these little gold Sacagawea coins, and I remember holding those and thinking that they were treasures. My parents would make me save, of course, a portion of what I earned, and then I would go to the store and I would put each individual gold Sacagawea coin on the counter and be so excited whenever I got the Beanie Baby that I wanted. This pattern probably happened for about 2 or 3 years, and I still have those Beanie Babies. They brought me a sense of accomplishment and were something that I appreciated so much more because I worked for them. Teaching kids to work and do hard things also builds self-confidence, and it helps them to persevere and do harder things later in life. Again, as I grew up, 16 years old, I drove a little red 150 diesel Ford, and it was beat up. In fact, we called him Old Rusty. And I'll never forget when my dad, being a landscape contractor, dropped us off in a yard when I was working for him one summer and told us to get to work. And amongst us, we had an entire ½ acre of weeds the size of that came up to my head. Me and my sister literally spent hours, tears, grinding, gnashing of teeth, and pulling out those weeds. And I have literally thought about that day since I've been in college and served a mission about those hard days that I had to do, and I made it. And I think about that every time that I do hard things. Hard work is so important to teach your kids. The sense of self-accomplishment and the confidence it builds will set them up for success later in life.